All right, we are live. We are here. Jonathan and I are here from the Helping Friendly podcast, and we just couldn't do this alone. So we brought in some reinforcements. We have Ryan Storm here.
We could, but Ryan's going to bring some fun to the party. So
exactly.
Thank
welcome,
you,
Ryan.
You're one of the only people that's ever called me fun. So that's exciting.
And you bring the median age of this podcast down significantly, which we appreciate for our younger viewers.
I was gonna say I can only do so much to counteract Jonathan bringing the median age up. So, but
Jonathan, if you were writing the fish.net or Jam-based review of last night, what would your headline be?
I don't know. I don't know. There's so many options. Like there's so much running through my head. Take care of your shoes. Fish got me wet. I don't know. When the rain comes. .. You know, like let's make a Beatles reference. I don't know, guys.
I like all three. Those are all great options. Ryan, do you have one?
Fish doesn't play petrichor in the rain, or John Fishman defies weather curfew for sake of bit.
yeah, okay.
It's good. I think that they ran back to the practice room and played petrichor.
Yeah,
I'm certain that's what happened.
Yeah, I want to know what their conversation was like after walking off stage last night, because they just seemed like they were just like dying of laughter. Like Trey seemed so unconcerned for his tens of thousands of dollars in very rare guitar gear. The amp wasn't.
That's true. The one of a kind
train wreck. Yeah.
Page was completely covered, but we're getting ahead of ourselves, right?
Yes, we are.
Here's another question before we get into the set list. Did Fish play a full show?
Depends on what band you're comparing them to.
I'm sure if you went back to the 90s, there are 2 set shows that are shorter than last night's.
Yeah.
Yes.
Without a doubt. So, I mean, if we had to get a weather delay, I'm glad we got, a set and a half with meaningful jamming in it.
Even the recent 1-set weather delay shows come out to about 2 hours.
Yeah.
So we got 2 hours. I guarantee Fish wishes they could have played for 3 hours. Guarantee
Definitely.
it. You could just go listen to Trey and Fishman at the last minutes of the live Fish recording, and you'll know.
Yeah.
They were in it
for sure. Okay. Thank you for humoring me there. I did not watch the webcast. I listened this morning. So, So let's get into it. And Megan is on an airplane coming back to her home from these shows, or she would join us. Brian is doing things. So the three of us are going to handle it. And it's going to be quick because, that's what we're here for. Okay. Set 1 is Cars, Trucks, Buses, Wave of Hope, Funky Bitch, Hey Stranger, Lawn Boy, Back on the Train, When the Circus Comes, It's Ice, Blaze On. Ryan, how do you think that set unfolded, and what were some of your highlights?
I think it's really cool that on paper, without looking at times of the songs, you'd look at this and be like, oh, wow, a lot of songs, probably nothing crazy. Then you look at the times and, Wave of Hope was 20 minutes. And so I was really happy about how that unfolded. And Brian brought up a great point in our group chat this morning, that the jamming was very just like clean Trey, not a reliance on effects in this jam. And it just had this very uplifting quality to it, something that they're playing, in the daylight in the middle of July on a nice summer evening. And I thought it was a phenomenal jam, and I love to see a huge jam early in the show like that.
Yeah, I will take that, straight ahead, big solo jam performance in the first set without the wacky delay weirdness and heavy synth freaked outedness, as long as they're going to give it to you later, which I feel like they were gonna. And stuff did go down in the second set, but staying on the first, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, Cars, Truck, Buses to open. I know Megan was on this show with me last week sometime and kind of not loving this song because of how many times she saw it back in the day, and then this morning she acknowledged that she hasn't seen it since '97.
Oh,
Oops. Great. I love that as an opener. Then Big Wave of Hope. And then, yeah, we get some songs, but everybody gets a turn. I think Hey Stranger has good potential once they
100%.
got a few runs of it under their belt. And Back on the Train, Chuggled, but didn't go far. And Solid, It's Ice. And I think a good Blaze On closer. They didn't have to stop early. They got to pretty much their 75 minutes.
Yeah.
And it was during the break that on the webcast they popped up the rain delay info.
Yeah. I think set break was only like 5 to 10 minutes longer than normal because of the weather delay. Like it wasn't.
Yeah,
it
I kind of
wasn't.
lost track of that because I wandered off.
It happens. It happens. I thought it seems like they were really happy to be at this venue. It seemed like both nights they were like they like being here. So hopefully they'll go back, right? It seems like that was like
Yeah.
they had a really good vibe
Mhm.
coming to that. I really like I feel like we've made this point recently about new songs and improv and how they're all the way I feel is that the new songs give them fuel for improv, and I feel like Wave of Hope like represents that so well. It just
Absolutely.
and Mike, I feel like Mike was coming through this whole show in a way that was a little bit different from other shows, but maybe it was just my listening was slightly different. I feel like in this jam, Mike's effects were really prominent, and he was kind of driving more of it. I don't know if you guys heard that, but I also like we've talked about this major key bliss jam peak thing and like whether that's like an easy place to go to. But I feel like this tour, Trey's been kind of building these peaks like he did at Wave of Hope. That's like more guitar driven than full band.
Mhm.
It still feels organic. It doesn't feel like a easy place to go. It just feels more organic. But I wonder what you guys think about that, about Mike being prominent or the kind of peaks of this tour so far.
Yeah, I really don't think Trey's going to that major key space as a crutch. I feel like for a while in 3.0, you could kind of describe it as that, which, not to discount those jams either, but it was like we're comfortable in this space. We're going to go there. That's how this jam's going to unfold. It feels like, as you mentioned, like they organically find their way into this major key jam. And Trey has sounded so good over the past week on this tour, just very well rehearsed. His phrasing is absolutely incredible. The benefit of playing with Tab recently and, in the trio shows last month, I think really helped him creatively, talking about Hey Stranger, I'm hoping we see something later this summer, like that one from the trio run that was like 15 minutes long. I absolutely love that song. But yeah, Trey is just, he's leading the band as confidently as he has, since 2021. Like that, this is really, really good to hear.
I agree with that fully, but I'll also want to kind of speak to the point about Mike. I don't think it's new on this show. I've been hearing it throughout the tour. Mike sounds really good in the mixes. Depends on how you're listening, though, a little bit. So that might be your experience today, RJ, because I noticed it's different when I'm on like my AirPods versus when I'm pumping it through the speakers.
Mhm.
Mike does cut through nicely in the mix, and I'm hearing a lot of conversational playing in the jams with him and Trey. I've got some of it to speak of in the set too. So we'll get to that, but yeah, I think he sounds good. Page and Fishman are just on it, of course, and I don't want to not mention them because those guys just keep killing it.
Yeah. I think this whole like all the listening I've done has been kind of Page focused, or the hearing at least. Like
Mhm.
Page has been like coming through so strong on everything, and I feel like last night. So I think my listening was different to last night's show. But so we
Can
have a yeah go
can I ask a
yeah
question of you
yeah
guys? I know on Spring Tour they had Vance Powell in the truck mixing the stuff for Live Fish. So they would, do the live mix. Unlike previous tours, they weren't sending the live PA mix out to Live Fish. Vance Powell was doing a mix in the back live or whatever for Live Fish. Do we know if he's doing this tour? I haven't seen any indication, and
It definitely sounds different. I would guess that he's not there. I actually forgot to pay
But
attention to the credits last night to see if he was
still
still.
sounds better than
Yeah.
last summer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
At least
Interesting.
we're in agreement there.
Yeah, I did not. It's interesting. I guess the credits are what and we could find out. I'll find out. But
Let's
I want to.
just take a note and look into it between us,
What?
because I'm not seeing
RJ will
that.
talk to his people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is the difference that you guys hear? I mean, is there a way to describe it? Because I'm really, even though I'm an audio professional, technically, I don't hear differences really when I'm listening to this stuff. I mean, some things sound a little more like rich or not, I guess what would the difference be between a good and a not so good mix on Live Fish?
To me, it's about being able to hear the players as I listen and isolate them, but
Mhm.
without them being mixed too far ahead or behind anything. A good balance to the mix. With so many instruments, and that's largely attributed to Page and Fishman, right? So many sources coming in to be mixed. It can be tricky. And then the EQing and stuff, which is where the mud can develop if it's not done well. And I'm not a pro at this, just why I have somebody else mix my albums. But I have an idea of what sounds good because, I know when it doesn't. And I'm hearing, I think, good sound these days.
Yeah, I think it's you mentioned about the separation, and it's you can usually still, like last fall I could still pick out what everyone was doing, but it took more effort, and it was very
and it'll
muddy.
wear your ears out.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It's trying to pick out Mike during the MSG run was that wasn't easy.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for that. That's helpful and totally fair. So set 2, we get a classic 4-song second set here.
Classic.
Big time.
Big time.
Whoa.
Chalk Dust, Into Oblivion, The Wedge, Sense and Subtle Sounds. My only notes are yes, because I thought those jams, both of them, were really complimentary, but also just there's a lot going on there, and really great, promising start to that second set. But Ryan, what's your take on the second set?
I mean, Chalk Dust, coming out of the gate for the second set, the jam is about to get good, and that Trey wants to get to that extended jam when he skips portions of the song or kind of rushes it.
Yeah.
He did that at the Baker's Dozen too, and you see it pop up all the time. But yeah, you could tell this was going somewhere from the beginning, and it did. Great space. But I really want to talk about this Oblivion. We heard it debuted last week. We know that Tom is really excited about this song, and therefore I assume Trey is also really excited about this song. It's the first new one to get a second play on this tour. And it's what was it, 15, 17 minutes even? Close to that last night?
17:36 on Live Fish.
Yeah, it was excellent. Page doing some excellent work on the synths. Unfortunately, it looked like, they had to cover some of his synths kind of towards the end of this jam. So he was back on piano, but he was doing some amazing keyboard work. RJ, you mentioned your listening being very Page centric. And this jam definitely, I loved hearing what he was doing. And then the Wedge, they started the song and I was kind of thinking to myself, are they playing it in the wrong key? This sounds like the wrong key. But usually, when Trey starts a song in the wrong key, the rest of the band will, or Mike and Page will be like, buddy, you're in the wrong key. And then they'll fix it pretty quickly. But then it was really, watching the webcast and seeing a few minutes into the song, Trey just start laughing to himself and looking at the other guys, just when he realized
always fun when Trey is just laughing and still playing and not derailing the song. Because sometimes when there's a flub, like you say, they'll stop and restart, or they'll make, but sometimes those kinds of corrections derail the song a little bit. Still fun, but
professional musicians.
So if type 1 jamming is when you jam the song and don't, really modulate out of it. Type 2 is when the song modulates into different keys and other themes. Is type 3 is just pure space. Type 4 is that just playing the song in the wrong key?
Nobody
can we
even
coin
knows.
that? Can we coin that?
Type Trey.
Type Trey.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, this is Oblivion is so promising though. You know, it's
really
just
is.
really it's cool that it's almost like it almost has a thread style, you know, point where I'm sure that when they were writing it, they were like laughing about, you know, screaming at people when they're, you know, at shows and, you know, in different states of consciousness. But it's just cool. It's like a really interesting multi-part song. Really, really cool. I
And
like that song a lot.
it flows really well for a multi-part kind of song. Like it doesn't feel like that. It just hangs together really nicely. And the jam they pulled out of it this time, I thought was really good, promising for the future as well. And I want to go back to that Chalk Dust jam,
Yeah.
because I loved it. And there's this bit. I think I talked about it in our it's in our group text, the HFI group text. It's about 8.5 minutes or so. Trey is playing a melody that is very similar to the bit they sing at the end of the lyrics of Waves. Let's see, On the Wind and Underwater. It's very close to that melody. Arguably, he's teasing that. Mike is right there, kind of
You got a
supporting
timestamp?
that. 8:25 or so. I don't know. You want to be precise, but so it's in there. Maybe he does it a couple of times, but even if you want to say it's not that, and that's fair, it's beautiful and just really nice spot. And yet there's still like another 10 minutes to go in that jam, and it really does go. It's great performance. Wedged surprisingly together, considering. And then I feel like this was going to be the biggest Sense and Subtle Sounds if they had been able to keep playing. But
hey, it'll open tomorrow night's show.
I'm really curious to know what they do with that. They're going to come back to it at some point.
I don't think they do the intro again.
Maybe. Oh, you mean like Harpua it? So where they're just like, okay, we did that part last time.
We played the intro on Wednesday, so we're going to start with the song now.
So which brings to mind the point that I've raised on here before is, shouldn't we track Sense and Subtle Sounds intro separately from Sense and Subtle Sounds, because they have stood apart and they're
like a horse
silent,
kind of situation?
Exactly. That's a rhetorical question. You guys.
Yeah, I was going to say. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Well, I wanted to address, there's a couple comments about the like Fishman referenced Taylor Swift didn't stop, right? And
So
somebody asked, why has Taylor Swift played a couple shows in the pouring rain, but Fish cut it short? And the answer is actually pretty simple. When it's raining, it's fine. 2 degrees, obviously equipment concerns, cover the equipment. I haven't seen a Taylor Swift show. Like, I don't know what her band looks like or what kind of cover they may have, but Trey's got very expensive gear and Paige's got very expensive gear. Some of this stuff is like rare, if not unique, and so there's some concerns there. But the real thing is, when there is lightning, they got to clear these venues, or they got to try to get everybody under cover, because then it's a safety issue. And somebody somewhere commented about the lightning striking right behind the stage as Trey was talking about not wanting to get off the stage. So I wasn't there. I didn't see that lightning because it didn't really come through on the podcast. I mean, on the webcast or the podcast. But I have to trust that they are doing it with the safety. You can tell the band did not want to stop, but they had to.
Yeah.
As Paige was drowning in tarps. That was hilarious. No, he's playing piano,
covering him while he's playing. They're
they're going to suffocate him.
Yeah.
There was a cameraman under there too for a moment too. It was totally wild. If you were watching last night, you saw, and maybe I think they should release the Sense and Subtle Sounds video like they did the Tweezer the other night.
That's a good idea. Well, I just like that John Fishman thinks about Taylor Swift as much as I do. Like that. It's just like it was on the top of his mind. Like,
he's got kids too.
Yeah, it's true. That's true. It's amazing. I mean, well, first of all, there's a comment here that I want to get your guys' take on from C. Will. I'll take last night over Tuesday any day of the week. Would you guys take last night's abbreviated show over Tuesday's full show?
I think last night was a stronger show than Tuesday overall, despite the delay. Again, we talked about you still got 2 hours of music, which is pretty great. From Tuesday, the only thing that I'm probably going to go back to is the song I heard the ocean sing and Light. There's not really much else that I'm going to go back and listen to. Last night, I could see myself definitely revisiting the Wave of Hope. Hey Stranger, just because I love Fish playing that song. The Chalk Dust, the Oblivion, like there's definitely more re-listen value in last night's show.
Two very different shows.
Yes.
I mean, leave aside the rain delay. No matter what, these two shows were destined to be different, and they are. And I don't know. Sitting at home, I got to bed a little earlier last night, so there's that.
they were doing it for those people who had to get to bed. I got to ask you guys one last thing, which is we've talked about the magical 20-minute jam, which obviously we've also talked about the fact that that's not really doesn't mean anything. But we've had several jams that are between 18 and 19 minutes, and I want Fish to know, if they don't already, they probably do know. But this 20-minute mark means more money for music education through the Mockingbird 20-minute challenge. So I want them to just, take those 1840, just stretch it out another minute.
Just play for another minute.
We can raise more money for
the kids.
I'll counter this for you guys, which is to say that if our listeners all support Live Fish, a portion of Live Fish proceeds goes to the Mockingbird Foundation. So make sure you
these 1845, 1850. I'm like, you're so close. But that is a good point. That is a good point.
I told you, well, maybe you weren't here. I told Brian the over-under on 20-minute jams is 10. And I took the under for this tour.
Okay.
Interesting. Well, Wave of Hope was 1959 based on Live Fish timing. So.
Oh, it was? Oh, I thought it was 1850. Okay.
On Live Fish, it's 19 minutes and 59 seconds.
Look, so you guys, if you're out there and you're doing this Mockingbird Challenge thing and they're just getting close, get the money anyways.
Fair. All right. Fine. That's a good solution, Jonathan. That's Jonathan Solutions Heart over here. Well, like the abbreviated show, we are going to leave you here with an abbreviated quick hit.
It's pretty quick.
Truly quick.
Perfect. This is an actual quick hit.
Actual quick hit. Ryan, will you come back and talk to us again?
Absolutely. Anytime. I'd love to. Thank you for having me.
It was nice to have you. It's always good to talk with you. And thanks, Jonathan.
A pleasure.
Thanks, everybody. We will see you back here on, I guess, Saturday, recapping Friday night's show. So.
Woo.
Everybody have fun, travel safe, and hope these weekend shows can happen.
Don't do that.
Hey, go early to Star Lake. Traffic there is bad.
That's what I'm saying.
The Dead and Company reports. So get there early.
Also, I'm excited for Syracuse.
The storms need to just chill out for a second.
I can't. I'm too excited.
Not you, Storm. I meant the real storms. But good one. That was really good. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, everybody.